character investments for March 2022, and I kind of changed the format a little bit here. As you see, it's still solid investments and proceed with caution, but you'll see that the first rows, well, not in this case, but the first rows are going to be 2 legendaries, 2 SCs, and of course you see Maleficent down there, and we'll get there in a moment. The second row will be your non SCs, your non legendaries, and the third row is going to be a team or faction that is a solid investment, in my opinion, and that is the same on the other side as well. So let's start off with the solid investments. As you've seen, there are a few changes here. We do have Hercules coming in just because there's more prevalence of Zeus, and that duo is very, very dominant currently in the meta in PvP. ST as well. So Hercules, of course, makes it. Maleficent's down there as well, and we'll get there in a moment. She was on the last character's investments infographic. She is a very viable plug and play option. She is in the Kingdom faction, more specifically the Kingdom Villain faction, which we'll get to in a moment, and she's fantastic in all game modes. Now, Milo is also a newcomer on this solid investments. I've heard some rumblings that he may get a nerf, but until he does so, we're going to go ahead and put him on the solid investments, and we'll get into a little bit of news later about Milo. But he is a fantastic character. You can utilize him in multiple ways depending on which part of the game you're at. If you don't have him at that 7 stars gear tier 9, you could use him as an offense, or excuse me, a speed stone, and still get by and be viable in multiple game modes. Next is Oogie Boogie, and Oogie Boogie is a stayover from the last solid investments list, and he really has a lot of viability in the raid, whether that's on a villain's team, and you see him a lot on teams that are doing big damage, the most damage you'll find out there. So he definitely deserves to stay on this list. But a newcomer is Sally, and Sally, same thing as Oogie Boogie. The only thing I would say about Sally is that she doesn't have that much viability outside of the raid, but she is a staple of the current Siege on Olympus raid, the current highest content in the game, and she's making up multiple teams. You see her a lot with Ian, and hi Tarzan, how you doing? We're live on Twitch, as you can see down there. We'll probably make this a video, and of course I forgot my intro again, but oh well. Anyways, Frank is here, and when we're speaking about Frank, we're also gonna say Lily as well. But I also do see Frank a lot without Lily, and he is prominent in both lineups, whether that's a duo, a synergy with Lily, or just on a team plug and play. He's going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. Unfortunately, he has only been energy leaderboards, which is disappointing, and some shards from the pass holder and the summoner showdowns that we've had. Tiana is also on this list, same thing as Frank. One of the best non-legendary, non-SC plug and plays, whether that's a raid, whether that's PvP, ST, attack and defense. She is fantastic. She also has a Club Conquest node that she can be utilized on. She's also a good pairing with Zeus, which I just mentioned about Herc, which is why he has made the list, because Zeus has become more prominent. She is a very good pairing with Zeus. Next on our list is going to be Moana, and Moana is the free-to-play farmable queen. I've spoke about her multiple times. She's probably my favorite farmable character. She fits in so many team compositions, so many game modes, and she's all around solid no matter where you invest her in, but she is definitely deserving of being a solid investment. Ian has switched over from the Proceed with Caution, and the reason being is I feel as if he is safe for now, as far as nerfs. And even if he does get a mild nerf, I feel as if there are enough characters, whether that's some of these characters here, to where we can still have that viability in the raid and have that progression in the raid. But Ian makes up some of the highest damage you'll see in the raid. He also has a mythical node in Club Conquest, and you can set him up pretty well in PvP as well. Next is our bottom tier, which is our team tier, and that's going to be our kingdom villains. And boy, oh boy, this is really something that came up because of the introduction of Yzma's refresh. And Yzma's refresh has made her a lightning rod for speed, and Kingdom loves speed. Shan Yu's leadership, and with Namari to be that big damage dealer and Maleficent to really provide that that detriment at the beginning with the helpful immunity. Yes, the helpful immunity. It really is a tough PvP team to go up against, and you can invest to the moon with them, quite frankly, and they always stick around. Kingdom has always been a solid faction, and they just got better because their manipulation of speed is ridiculous, and I love speed, and they definitely deserve to be on the solid investments row there. Next, before I go, the Kingdom villains as well make up a lot of good raid teams, whether that's pairing with Belle and Beast, whether that's Yzma with the villains in general, and of course Maleficent makes up one of the best Ian teams as well, along with Sally. It's very strange that they're up and down like that, but that trio right there, up and down, is a force to be reckoned with in the raid. Even Forbidden Depths. Next is gonna be thank you for feuding Bew Jr. a carrot and redeeming no legendaries. Trust me, I will not be using legendaries this stream. Anyways, let's go on over with Proceed with Caution. And the notion of Proceed with Caution sometimes is that I'm trying to say don't build them, or they're bad, or they're trash. And a lot of the times maybe they just need someone else to prop them up, and I never discourage people from building anything, and I just wanted to preface that beforehand. But let's start with Baymax. Baymax is a walking punching bag. Basically, he does provide that first turn taunt, which allows someone like Milo, which is over here, to unlock his kit. But with Milo's passive, calling teammates to assist, really the taunt, yes, it's helpful, but it's not necessary. So Baymax again is the punching bag of the legendaries, which is unfortunate. He does make up great raid teams, and has viability in all game modes, but not at the level of a Hercules or a Maleficent, or even some of our non-legendary characters like a Frank or a Tiana. So Baymax is gonna go ahead and go over there and Proceed with Caution. I would recommend probably a T8 Baymax just to utilize him in the raid, and then if you have to equip more pieces to successfully conquer something, right, that's when I recommend going further with gear, right? If you're solving a problem in the game, then that's when I recommend it. Ralph is next. Ralph, a lot of people tell me Ralph is fantastic at T9, and you know, he does a bunch of nice things, but he's very, very squishy. And once this game hits these power crept characters, and once more power crept characters come in the game, really he's gonna have nice things in his kit that you can unlock, especially if you're fighting an AI. You know, he's gonna lose viability after a while, and that's unfortunate. And maybe something comes along to prop him up and help him out, but I definitely wanted to put him and proceed with caution. Next, the third one is Horn King, and really Horn King, it just feels like all the SCs kind of do his job a little bit better. He kind of gets thrown with the leftovers, or gets kind of thrown with a intermediate team just to try and hit that empowered. Yes, he has nice stuff in his kit, especially pertaining to the raid. His basic does ridiculous damage, but again, the minimum amount of gear to get him into the raid is what I would recommend, and he would be one of the lower priorities on the SC list if you are building up multiple. You know, you have your top tier ones, maybe your Oogies and Sallies and Frozones and those characters, and he would be more towards the bottom. Speaking of more towards the bottom, it's probably Olaf, and I love running Olaf on my team that utilizes tactics to get more basic attacks going, and that is the Gargoyles faction. But outside of that, maybe he definitely works with full Frozen, but other than that, his viability outside of the raid, outside of really a couple of Titans as well, is not that great. And again, he would hit the lower priority for me, in my opinion, and be one of those minimum investments. Next is Barley, and the reason why Barley is here is because he's a fantastic T8, and he allows you to set up the famous Barley bombs that have been around for ages and ages, but it's kind of the same thing as Lily and Belle and all these people that kind of are the second fiddle in duos. Ian, it doesn't really need Barley, but Barley kind of really needs Ian a little bit. And that's why he's on this list. Again, bare minimum T8. That's what I would recommend for him. Maurice has also made this list, and I've heard a lot of rumblings about Maurice, and he makes a fantastic team with Sully, as well as maybe Eve. I haven't really tested out Maurice because, again, he's very, very low on my priority list. But I feel like there are going to be characters that come along that probably do his job a little bit better, and it's just going to drop him in viability. He doesn't really have a lot of viability as it is. You can, get away with him in some game modes in mid and early game, but late game, you really, really don't see him anywhere besides some niche team and raid. The next is Miguel, and unfortunately, Miguel is a stay over on this list, just because of the viability of Zeus and the amount of Zeus's coming up. Miguel, yes, makes a fantastic mythical team, but they are becoming very old news and very gimmicky and outdated. And I'm speaking towards the Pain and Panic and Hades, Hercules, and Ursula team, because he is very replaceable with Zeus. With that being said, he does make good raid teams, not great raid teams, in my opinion. And he does have that mythical node in Club Conquest, and he's still a very solid character. I'm not saying he's a horrible character, but probably only the speed pieces on him after Gear Tier 8. I wouldn't recommend Gear Tier 9 for him, in my opinion. Next is Esmeralda, and if you followed me for a little bit, I know Esmeralda does fantastic on the tornadoes, and she really unlocks teams such as the Sully and the Mike teams, but outside of that, it's not much. Like, can you get away with her in PvP? Yes, but you're kind of being carried by these people down here, the Kingdom Villains. She is not the standout on the team, and I wouldn't recommend her to gear tier 9. And who knows what the next raid content's gonna be, and even if summonable units are gonna play a factor in that game mode, that's just speculation. But it's very hard for me to invest in a character with an unknown, and with her viability kind of being very niche right now in the raid, and kinda you can get away with her in PvP. I would highly proceed with caution. Maybe just the speed pieces on TA, just like Miguel, and that's how far I would go with her. Next is the bottom row, and it is the Aladdin team. They are desperate for reworks, and I know the question that's going to come up, you have the Kingdom Villains here in the Kingdom and speed and everything, and yes, Jafar is a Kingdom Villain, and there's only 4 spots down there. What I'm really speaking towards here is Club Expedition, and they are very much just holding back content. Really, they aren't really solving a problem. They're making you use your resources, and they're not very good. They're in need of rework desperately. I have them all at T7. I'm not using any of them. I may use Jasmine on a raid team sometimes, but that's really, she's not the standout character on that team. And Jafar, quite frankly, to run this team down here with these 4, that's quite frankly enough. Jafar is nice, but he really needs a high investment, and I'm not in a place to really make that high investment, because Kingdom gear is very valuable at this moment. But this is my characters investments for March 2022. I'm gonna post this on YouTube, so if you're watching from YouTube, please like and comment down below. Let me know who your solid investments are, who you would proceed with caution, and what you think about this infographic over here. My Twitch is over there, twitch.tv/Bude_live, and have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for watching, and see ya.